Jaden Smith's Dre Parker never asked for this life. He never asked to be ripped away from Detroit, away from the basketball courts where his laughter echoed with friends, away from the comfort of his own language, food, and neighborhood, and placed in a world so different, so alien, that every day felt like punishment. For when his mother Sherry got the transfer to Beijing, Dre's world shattered silently, and though he tried to smile at his mother's optimism, inside his heart screamed, "I want to go back to America," because the smells were strange, the faces unfamiliar, the words incomprehensible, and worse, the kids at his new school didn't welcome him but marked him as different, a target to break, a toy to mock, especially Cheng, the rebellious kung fu champion whose fists were as sharp as his cruel smirks. And Dre soon discovered that every hallway, every courtyard, every playground became a battlefield where he was always outnumbered, always beaten down, always reminded he didn't belong. So each night he stared at the ceiling in his small Beijing apartment, whispering to himself, "I don't belong here, I just want to go home." Yet his mother kept saying, "We'll make this work," while Dre's heart sank deeper, until the day he tried to fight back. His courage lit for only a moment before Cheng and his gang humiliated him in front of everyone, and it was then Dre decided, with tears streaming down his bruised face, that he couldn't endure anymore and would find a way to return to America no matter what. But destiny, unpredictable as lightning, had another plan waiting in the form of the quiet janitor, Mr. Han, a man of few words, hidden pain, and a strength carved from years of discipline, who rescued Dre from another beating and revealed that beneath his humble exterior lay the mastery of kung fu. And though Dre begged his mother to let him return to Detroit, her eyes pleaded back with love and firmness, "We can't run, Dre, we have to fight through life," pushing him reluctantly toward Mr. Han, who became not just a teacher but a father figure Dre desperately needed. Yet still Dre's heart longed for America, for the simplicity of being understood, for the comfort of belonging. And as the training began, grueling, endless, built not on fists but on patience, jacket on, jacket off, again and again, Dre's frustration boiled. He screamed at Han, he cursed China, he wept in silence, but something subtle started shifting within him, strength whispering into his bones, courage weaving into his spirit, until the boy who once wanted to flee began to see a sliver of himself reflected in the ancient rhythm of kung fu. But the past wounds of humiliation at Cheng's hands were not forgotten. And when the tournament was announced, Dre's heart stopped, for standing in that ring meant facing the very tormentors who had broken him. Yet it also meant redemption, a chance not just to prove himself to them but to himself. And while the thought of America still warmed his heart, now the dream of standing tall, unbroken, mattered even more. So he trained harder, sweating through nights, bleeding through blisters, and in those moments of exhaustion he found fragments of home. Not Detroit, not Beijing, but a home within himself, a strength no one could steal. And when the day of the tournament arrived, Dre shook with fear, not just of losing, but of being seen as nothing again. But as the matches unfolded, as he faced each opponent with a balance of fear and bravery, the crowd gasped at the boy who once was an outsider, now standing like a warrior, until finally, face to face with Cheng, the boy who had tormented him, Dre felt his chest tighten, his breath shallow, the weight of every moment pressing down. And in that split second before the fight began, he realized he no longer wanted to go back to America to escape. He wanted to stand here, in this foreign land, and show the world that he belonged anywhere he chose to belong. That home was not just a place but a spirit carried within. And as the match raged, pain surged through his injured leg, whispers of doubt clawed at him. But Han's calm voice echoed, reminding him of the discipline, the flow, the courage he had forged. And with one final strike, the Cobra kick that soared through air like destiny's hand, Dre shattered not just Cheng's pride but his own fears. And as the crowd roared, as Cheng himself bowed with reluctant respect, Dre stood in the ring, tears stinging his eyes, no longer the boy desperate to go back to America but a young man who had found strength in China, who had discovered family in his master, respect in his enemies, and belonging in himself. And when he looked at his mother in the stands, her eyes shining with pride, Dre realized the journey that had begun with cries of "I want to go home" had transformed into a victory far greater than geography, because sometimes, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And Dre Parker needed China, needed pain, needed courage, needed Mr. Han, and above all, needed to find out that running away was never the answer, but rising, fighting, and embracing the unknown was the path to true freedom. And so the boy who once begged to leave now stood in a new home he never expected, no longer defined by where he was from but by who he had become.